what you learn after you know it all that counts. John Wooden. Welcome to the lounge. Let's go.
Hey, said this is a lounge. Culture and justice, you know you can trust that we holding it down. Well, you can bet we applying that pressure, it come by the pound. Speaking the truth and the logic to do what makes us so profound. That's why we got the crown. Said this is a lounge. Culture and justice, you know you can trust that we holding it down. Well, you can bet we applying that pressure, it come by the pound. We living better no matter the weather, we sticking around. Come see what we found. Yeah, this is the lounge. V.S.O.P. for the record, no better. Yeah, this for the wealth. Both of the people are equals, no better to speak for the culture, our needs and our health. Conscious it reign with dignity, giving the keys to victory and being a man. Lift up the culture, protect it from leeches and vultures, and speak for who need in a hand. Says this is the lounge.
Welcome back to the lounge. I, of course, am your host, Captain of the Cool Kids, host of the Grown Man Logic podcast, DeJuan J. And I hope that all is well. Tonight, we finalize our Respect series. Let's just get this out of the way right now. Our drink of the evening, brought to you in this beautiful 14.5 ounce highball glass, available on shopgrownmanlogicpod.com. shopgrownmanlogicpod.com is a raspberry gimlet. A raspberry gimlet. Normally, something this delicious and refreshing is served out of a martini glass, but product placement, etc. You know the vibes. Tonight, after we've talked about responsibility, after we've talked about effort and strength and charisma and communication and positivity and persistence, efficiency, charisma, tonight we have to talk about being teachable. Why is it important? When surveyed, most women will tell you that they can't talk to their man about anything. They'll tell you that the man's not teachable, he's not coachable. In the business world, in the business market, people will tell you that being coachable is everything. There's a meme going around right now on TikTok and on Instagram is where I actually saw it, of a gentleman actually advising people to lie on their resumes. Why? Because the job is going to train you anyway. So if that's the case, why are so many of us so stuck in our egos and so stuck in our ways that we're not teachable? We're not coachable. We're not willing to expand. We're not willing to be uncomfortable enough to be coachable and then get comfortable. One of the truest phrases that I've ever heard in my life is, do what you have to do, then you can in fact do what you want to do. And this rings true on several different streets, several different avenues I can think of that this becomes applicable, whether you're a sports player, whether you're an athlete, stock investor, e-trader, cryptocurrency guy, podcaster, actor. The list goes on and on. Every avenue. Nobody wants to be around someone who's not coachable. You heard it in the intro. The winningest coach in history, John Wooden. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts. If you follow my personal Instagram page, you heard me talk about becoming world class and becoming superior. And all you have to do is try. All you have to do is put in a little bit of effort. But after you're world class and after you're superior and you've risen above all competition levels, all competitive levels, what's left? Cementing a legacy. And I can't think of anybody that operates on any sort of high vibrational plane that does not have a mentor. Military days, they used to make it mandatory. Now it's optional, but the most successful people have mentors. CEOs, Fortune 500 company owners, all have mentors. Traders, mentors. Actors, mentors. Wrestlers, mentors. So relationships should be no different. There should be no reason why your partner should not be your biggest advocate and mentor. Because who can teach you how to love you better than you? And the same is true for your partner. Who can teach you how to love your partner better than your partner? The answer? Nobody. The answer is nobody. And today, in society, we're at an impasse. We're at an impasse in the red pill space, in the manosphere space, in the men versus women space, in the equality space. We're at an impasse where men have opinions, women aren't listening. Women have opinions, men aren't listening. But relationships are, in fact, a microcosm for how we live life. They are. They quite literally are internally how we should broadcast and present ourselves to the world. Because if you can keep a person happy that you're with on a day-to-day basis by using the tools that we're taught in this series: responsibility, effort, strength, charisma, communication, positivity, and persistence, efficiency, charisma, and being teachable. If you take these elements and you apply them to whatever aspect that you have in your life, or whatever aspect that you want to apply it to, you will in fact be successful. But let's get into it. What does being teachable look like? What does being teachable look like? There are, in fact, identifiable, measurable characteristics of someone who is teachable, and these characteristics reflect externally. The first thing we have to do is we have to listen to learn. Too many of us in today's society are in a place where we are on the defensive. So when someone brings conflict to us, or constructive criticism to us, or a way to get better to us, we get defensive. We get defensive, and that creates a source of friction, and then nobody's growing. We have to switch that. We have to begin to switch that and listen to learn. Even if you feel like you're being disrespected, berated, belittled inside of the conversation. I'm not saying be walked over, be a doormat. No. I'm saying quite the opposite. We got to look for the silver linings. What can be taught from the conversation that I'm enduring right now? What can be learned? What can be gained from what I'm enduring right now? We have to understand the process. Being teachable is a scientific process. You act. Then you look at your mistakes and evaluate. You search for a way to do it better. And then you repeat step one. Again, you act. You look at your mistakes and you evaluate. You search for a way to do it better. And then you act again. We get hung up on our successes a lot. The most easily identifiable example of this is taking medicine. Now we all know. We go to the doctor, we have a cold, we have the flu, we have something. The doctor gives us the medication to cure and rid our bodies of the illness. And we take the medication enough to feel better. And then it sits in a cabinet somewhere. It sits in the medicine cabinet and it goes bad instead of taking the recommended dosage. We have to be in a state of constant evaluation. Even if we succeed at something, there has to be a way to do it better. No, I'm not saying beat yourself up. I'm not saying don't praise yourself or give yourselves the hugs for the successes that you have. No, by all means, celebrate those successes. But you can't rest on your laurels. You always have to be looking for a way to do it better. And this conditions your mind to follow step one, where you're listening to actually learn something. When we're conditioning, we have to look for ways, look for moments actually to plan. I think that a lot of the times when we're making vision boards and we're manifesting and we are making plans and we have our goal lists and things of this nature, when we forget to account for the hiccups, we forget to account for the head hurters. And this is just another reiteration of that. All you have to do is look for moments to learn. Reading, visiting places that inspire you, attending events that inspire changes, seminars, spending time with people that will stretch you. Get outside of your echo chamber, get outside of your buddy system. Spend some time with some folks that's gonna stretch you. If you're only clearing the bottom half of six figures and you wanna be a millionaire, well, hang around millionaires. Because they're going to stretch you. They're going to change you for the better. They're going to offer you some constructive criticism. They're going to offer you some feedback that might not always be comfortable to hear. It may not always be your cup of tea. It may not always be exactly how you want to hear it. It may not even be packaged the way that you want it. Tough luck. Here's what we got to deal with. Make your teachable moments count. So once you've planned for these things and you've accounted for your hiccups and we have planned our teachable moments, we've planned to visit these seminars, we've planned the motivational speaking conferences, we've sat with our mentors, we've gotten the constructive feedback, we have to make these moments count. I've spoken on this very platform time and time again. Time is fleeting. One of my favorite logo pictures to use is me looking down at a watch. And I'm looking at that watch because time is always moving. And we have to move with it, or we're gonna get left behind. There's gonna be no rewind. Nobody is waiting for you. The seconds that you waste, the seconds that you use even productively, or the seconds that you waste, somebody else is grinding, somebody else is getting better at the craft, somebody is honing the skills of their craft to be better at it. And if you're sitting at the top of the food chain currently, using time unwisely, or wasting time, or spending too much time thinking, they're eventually going to be better than you. And now you're back at the bottom, fighting, as if all that hard work never happened. And then, once that happens, where does that leave you? Where does it leave us? When we're not teachable, when we're not listening to understand or to learn, when we're not understanding and appreciating the process, when we don't account for teachable moments and hiccups, it leaves us unprepared. In a relationship, it makes your partner feel like they're in a relationship by themselves because they can't get through to you. So they have to love themselves for themselves because you can't do it properly because you didn't take the time to sit and listen. Where does that leave an employer? It leaves him better off hiring someone else because you didn't listen to learn. So now you're not taking the training on board. And if you're not taking the training on board, it's as if nobody is doing the job whatsoever. It's actually worse because of the rework that has to take place. We have to shift the paradigm. We have to drop the ego. We have to take our coats off, hang the coats and the egos with the hats at the door, and become teachable. We have to humble ourselves and have these tough conversations and be teachable. We're not all perfect, far from it. And the way that we stretch, the way that we grow, the way that we get better is by being teachable, by being coachable. The teacher, the coach, the mentor, they all have a fresh outside perspective. They're not in the middle of the storm, so they can see how to navigate the storm. How do we know? Part of this process in becoming teachable or becoming coachable is asking yourself, am I actually teachable? Am I actually coachable? The answer might surprise you. There are 10 questions that you have to ask yourself to figure out if you're coachable. Number 1, am I open to other people's ideas? I'm not gonna beat that dead horse. We've been on this all show long. Number 2, do I listen more than I talk? The old wise saying goes, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should listen twice as much as you speak. That indicates to the world that you're willing to take some more stuff on board, that you're willing to be trained, that you're willing to be taught, and that you're open. Number 3, am I open to changing my opinion based on new information? Number 4, do I readily admit when I'm wrong? Number 5, do I observe before acting on a situation? Number 6, do I ask questions? That one's important. Do I ask the necessary questions? Too many times, even high school, grade school even, we're sitting in class and we don't know the answer to something, but we're afraid of looking bad. We're afraid of humiliating ourselves, so we don't ask the question. And the information passes us by. So we don't have the necessary information, thus making our work twice as hard as it needed to be had we been equipped with the proper information. Even I ask questions all the time. Some of my podcasting colleagues, shout to the great man, Uncle Dolomite, shout to Carla of the She Blows It podcast, shout to our former co-host Kendra, shout to my main man, you know that one guy from the Uncomfortable Conversation. When I first jumped into this game, shout to Uncle Dolomite, shout to Ringo, shout to Styles from the Brunch Hour podcast. All these people gave me information. I didn't know anything about this game. So I reached out and I asked the necessary questions. So even I, the captain of the cool kids, is not above asking questions because I'm teachable. I'm successful because I'm teachable. I'm coachable, so people don't mind working with me. 7, am I willing to ask questions that will expose my ignorance? I just talked about that. 8, am I doing things in a way that I haven't done them before? That's crazy, because we know the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. So if we're stuck in a situation, we have to ask ourselves, am I doing things in a way that I haven't tried before? Number 9, am I willing to ask for directions? And fellas, this is what gets us in trouble. Prior to Waze app, prior to Google Maps, prior to any app on our phone, Google Maps, whatever, you name it. Prior to GPS technology, people had to read road maps. Men had to read road maps because men traditionally did the bulk of the driving, and they had to read road maps. And one of the biggest frustrations that wives had of their husbands were that men would not stop and ask for directions from a local. It became a caricature, a joke. Number 10, do I become defensive when criticized, or do I listen openly for the truth? Now, when asking yourself these questions, it's important that you're honest. Because if you answered no to one or more of these questions, then you're not as coachable, you're not as teachable as you think that you are. And when we turn the mirror on ourselves, it's important that we take an honest inventory. Otherwise, the work that we claim to be doing is invalid. Because we're afraid to face a character flaw. Because we're afraid to upset the apple cart, change the status quo of the paradigm. It makes us nervous. But that can't stop you from doing the work. That can't stop you from the process of self-improvement. It can't. We can't allow it. Okay, DeJuan J. How do I become teachable? This is huge. There's 6 steps to becoming teachable. And I've made mention to them throughout this entire show. 1, keep an open mind. 2, check your ego. 3, ask for feedback. 4, be respectful. 5, ingest and implement the information that you receive. And 6, be thankful. Keep an open mind, check your ego, ask for feedback, be respectful, ingest and implement what it is that you received, and be thankful. And that thankful one is key. That thankful one is key. I've told this story several times. As a pro wrestler, when you walk in the building, you shake everyone's hand. You thank the promoter for the opportunity. You thank the commentator for getting your name right. You thank the announcer for getting your name right. You thank the commentators for making you look like a star. You thank everyone. You ask the veterans, the mentors. You find a mentor. Hey, let me get some feedback. Then you have to ingest and implement that. You're respectful of your time and your space and the energy that people are spending. You ask for feedback, and there's no ego because everyone in there is on the same page. In a relationship, in an office, owning a company, owning a business, everyone needs to be on the same page, so there's no room for ego. Your ego cannot be involved. And keeping an open mind. Always be willing to accept new ideas and new ways of doing things. We have to, because the world is constantly evolving. And the thing that makes your business, the thing that makes your company, the thing that makes you so strong, so successful, is diversity. And you don't have to know everything. You just have to know where to find everything. Leverage your network. What do you think? Maybe I'm wrong. Let's talk about it. You can email me. You can call me. You can shoot a DM. But most importantly, subscribe. And leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of this series, the Respect series. I'm going to leave it right there for now. Be on the lookout. Next week, ladies, it's going to be your turn in the hot seat. I'm drinking martinis for the next 10 weeks straight because, ladies, we have things to talk about. In the meantime, this has been another edition of The Lounge. Cheers.